Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we're discussing my thoughts on episode 12 of the anime series Plastic Memories. And this episode feels like what the previous episode should have been. For those who caught my, video discussion talking about that particular episode, I really just was perturbed by it. I felt like they were backpedaling way too much and just drawing the entirety of the progression of the series backward, with at least the first 3/4 of the previous episode. And this episode was just sweet and somewhat bittersweet in places. And it was just beautiful. Being able to see everybody in the office coming together to try to make Tsukasa and Ida have a day off and just spend that time together, letting their hair down and, really making the most out of the time they could spend together outside of the workplace. They're giving them movie tickets and, talking about resort hotels and all these different things. Sherry with her sort of, I guess, anime fangirlish nature or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure, but we do see them almost, in place of pom-poms, they're like cheerleading with these little paddles and everything. Maybe that's what it was. It was, ping pong or something. I don't know. But it was adorable, and it was really cute to see everyone coming together and to find that Michiru is the one who has spearheaded all of this. To put time aside for them and allow time for them to be together in what are tentatively their last days together and everything. And I really thought it was sweet. It made me smile the entire time. This is how I feel like we should have felt, or I should have felt in the previous episode with all the quirkiness and backpedaling. It just threw me for a loop. I really didn't enjoy that. But I feel like this series could have been an episode or two shorter if we could have just gotten to this point. And I think it would have been more impactful. As impactful as it was, I think it would have been more so for that if this was a semi-shorter series. Then, of course, you also have them picking up with the mafioso's, air quotes, granddaughter gift, that they're picking up. And Ida, leans into her and whispers something in her ear. And, we have sort of play on this later in the episode once it's been all happy and everyone's had a big party back at the office and everything. And, Tsukasa asks her what she said, and basically it's along the lines of wishing for this gift, that one day she'd be reunited with whomever she cherishes. And in that scene, it was kind of tugging at the heartstrings a little bit, because she says right back to Ida, I hope you do too. And of course that means Tsukasa for the moment. And it's just that solidification of these two characters finally. Again, I will keep repeating myself, beating the dead horse, but I'm so glad we're finally at this point, and I wish we could have gotten here sooner, because it would have made it that much more heart-wrenching when the inevitable comes. It's still going to be, but I think it would have been that much more so, And playing into that, we have Kazuki basically throwing Tsukasa for a loop in that she gives him the terminal service retrieval form for Ida, and it's his responsibility to sign it. And he really is not happy about that, understandably. He confesses to Ida he's actually even considered, what if we just pack up and run away? What if we go hiding, He knows, no, that ain't gonna work. And Ida knows that, and I feel like finally we have that forward progression again, because he's not, sort of resigning himself to fear and not going and expressing his feelings toward Ida, which he's done so far all through the series. They're coming clean with each other, and they're telling each other on a very real level how they're feeling and what they're thinking about. With Ida, it's this idea of, as we start the episode, she's so terrified of waking up in the middle of the night in the darkness and Tsukasa's not being there. And she admits this to him, and they, sleep in the same bed together, and for her comfort's sake and her sanity's sake. And very similarly, do we have Tsukasa breaking down and confronting Ida about this terminal service form. And it turns out she wants him to sign it, beyond anyone else. It would make her happiest if he would be the one, because it's personally, the connection between them. And he does, and they embrace and everything. It was just like, wow, you know, this is what this series should have been doing every note along the way, because it was just highly realistic. There was a realism to it when a couple has to both mutually deal with something this tantamount. You know, one might have a terminal disease and might have limited time left, and the love between them, you know, keeps them moving forward, and that's what's happening with these two characters. And again, knowing that Michiru is the one who spearheaded the party and everything at the party, it seems like even Ida herself is kind of championing the idea, like I am, every step of the way in the last several videos, about there being a sort of connection between Michiru and Tsukasa that may come into play in her subsequent absence. And I hope that ends up being the case, and it seems like Ida was happy to see them bantering back and forth and, you know, joking and everything. Finally, you got to a point where Michiru could, even though she still had that tsundere bravado, and she did let go of it a little bit, and you know, was actually able to laugh with Tsukasa for a little bit there. And so, I mean, onward we move, and we're coming down to the finale of this series. And while it wasn't pitch perfect, and I did have my issues with it, I know that the way things culminate is going to be highly compelling, probably emotional, and I can't wait to just finally see everything come to fruition and see just exactly how it does, whether it plays out toward my speculations, whether it plays out toward my own wants for the series. You know, are they gonna switch things up? I've offered this speculation at one point in a previous video, where we think Ida is going to be completely just, you know, repurposed and, air quotes, dead. But then is her body going to be renewed and you know, completely refurbished and brought back into the office, and that's going to be kind of leaving us off with this cliffhanger of Tsukasa doesn't know how to deal with that? Or are we going to have a finality to it? You know, because her life is finite, are we going to have a clear and decisive end of her life, and now these characters who have surrounded her have to move on? And I think that would be the more poignant way to go. I don't think you stretch this story out any further than that. But that's my own personal take on it. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this particular episode of Plastic Memories, if you've seen it. If you felt like me, that it was both sweet and somewhat bittersweet in places, and just, you know, pitch perfect as to where we've needed to be for so long in this series. You know, to just hearten that relationship between Ida and Tsukasa respectively, and all of the stuff with the party and you know, going back and getting that mafioso's granddaughter Giftia, and how that was poignant to the overall arc going on between Tsukasa and Ida. Let me know what you thought of it all. You know, whether you really thoroughly enjoyed it or you didn't, you know, it fell flat for you, whatever the case may be, in the comments below. As always, love having the conversation with you guys. And so, yeah, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.